Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 24th of July. June. It's not July, it's June. My head hurts. You know what? They haven't given me my anti-inflammation medication and I just feel like crap. So I apologize. Anyways, let's look at the markets. Overnight, I'm seeing a lot of news coming from News Squawk claiming that there's going to be 3.1 billion worth of tariffs on 3.1 billion worth of goods on euro from the United States. When I visit the CNBC homepage, I don't see anything about this story, but the squawks are all over it and the indexes are down. To recap, we had this big move down and then back up yesterday night, which recovered, and then they attempted to make a push higher. They came up against some pretty heavy resistance here and just sputtered out. And now in the overnight session, off of this tariff news, a little bit lower. So the trend is kind of down, but I don't know. We're not too far off from the support areas that we've developed over the past week. And like I said, this support structure down here is not terribly strong. So not that this resistance is, but now that they've attempted so many times and failed, it's right. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at. When I'm watching these edges, I don't really see like a huge push to push higher. They don't want to. They don't want to go for whatever reason. Now the treasuries had a little bit of a spike, but it came back already. So the treasury yield's unable to push significantly higher as of yet. And volume over there, by the way, is just not very good. So, do I show the charts? I don't even think I was showing the chart that whole time. Here's the E-mini. All right. Move a little bit lower. 10-year going nowhere. So we should also look. Oil had a draw yesterday and kind of came down. And gold continues to push up. Another thing we should point out is that we got this move in the Japanese yen yesterday, and now and that pushed the dollar down. But now the dollar's trying to make a push back up. Of course, that news about the tariffs hurt the euro. So. And I do believe we have some news today. Let's see here. Oh, no, nothing early. We have house price index at the top of the hour. Gasoline numbers. Oh, looks like it's going to be a pretty quiet day. Fed's Evans is speaking, and we have a 5-year note auction. 5-year note auction. They're pushing down at the moment, although these ones are at their lows and the 30-year is not. Very curious. Well, out murder hornets in Sahara smothering dust, says Ed Morrissey. Okay. We're about 1 or 2 plagues away from the apocalypse. AOC trounces Marie Carissa Cabarro in New York primary. Well, the way that they were talking made it sound like it was close, but I was like looking for polls and I couldn't find anything. So I was like, okay. I wonder if they had done some real polling over there. Wonder why they didn't. Goldman, as multiples have expanded across our coverage group, we adjust our price targets across our coverage universe to reflect higher peer multiples, lower interest rates, and reduced equity premium. Lifts Google target to 1775 from 1425. So targets are up because stocks are up. Nice. Zero Hedge retweeting that. Yeah, so Zero Hedge is picking up on the trade war fears as well. Apple sold 3.6 million iPhones in China in May, down from 3.9 million in April, according to Shanghai-based CNNO research. Hmm. Well, so this setup today is an interesting one, actually. Let me pull up the Texas speech. I know you guys are probably saying a ton of stuff. Oh, my head still hurts. Maybe I just need more water. Okay. Anyways, kind of like I don't want to say seasonality, but kind of like the setup based on the day and situation and everything. We're range bound right now. We are in a bracketed market, a market that moved down overnight on trade war fears. Might continue. They are trying to recover it though. It's a Wednesday. We tend to see more activity, particularly in stocks on Wednesdays. It is also an auction day. So that could drive some, and it's on the shorter end. So there's been some demand in the auctions. So that's something that's out there. So we kind of got a couple of things that can tell us what the day is going to be like. Um, but they're a little contradictory. And also, like, we really underperformed volatility. So we have a kind of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of a situation where, based on the context right now, I think that you would probably have to default to that it will continue to be bracketed. But the situation is such that there could be a big move today. So if we start to see that kind of trending action, we don't want to fight it. Although if we do get the trending action, it's probably going to be to the downside. I highly doubt, unless we get some like really good news, I highly doubt that trending action would be to the upside. Could be wrong though. There's Win. How are you?
Winston's mom says good morning.
Well, while we're waiting, I think I'm going to program something here because I've been looking and I always get this error in my output window and it's just driving me crazy. So I'm going to come in here to my export levels, and in here I do a print, and I think that I can do the name of the chart in here. Let's see here. Trader 8 chart name. Let's just go through the language reference and search for name and see what we get. Name. Let's see here. Maybe chart dot is. Chart dot. Getting a little bit of movement in the mini down. After that move up that we had chart dot name. Let's see what that does. That's weird. That's not what it was before. Chart dot chart control maybe. It's different outside of here, isn't it? Chart dot. Try that one. Okay. Clear this out. Thread cannot access this object because another. There's got to be a way to print the name of the chart. Yes. Yes. There's the one that should have it. Export levels. This one should not have it. Yeah. This one should not have it.
Leandro Matias says good morning.
Good morning, how are you? This one should not have it. This one should not have it. Oh, I have so many e-mini charts up. This one should not have it. chart control. Okay. Chart control dot properties dot name. Is there a name in here? Tab name. Let's try that. By the way, good morning, Leandra. I don't know if I said that. We're happy to have you. Okay, that's a little bit more promising. And yes. Okay. Okay. So now we are going to restart NinjaTrader and let them all do their thing. No. Give it 5 seconds or so. Okay. So here it's loading up. Only 2 of them are doing it? The other ones must still be loading. Yeah. Okay, there's ZBF and ES. And here should come the last one. The one that always errors out. Maybe not.
eTrader says hey Seth.
Hey, how
eTrader
are you?
says cray day.
You say it's been a crazy day?
eTrader says crazy asterisk.
Huh. It says that it's a volume profile one. I bet you. Yes. Found you. Found you. Was on the oil chart. So, never again should I see that error message. I don't know if it really has been a crazy day, though. I mean, there's a good move down overnight.
E-Trader
but-
says, Seth, could you please explain what happened with S?
Well, if you're talking about the down move overnight, the report is that the United States.
E-Trader says it started going down then.
Yeah. The United States is considering imposing tariffs on
E-Trader says
3.1
explosion.
billion 3.1 billion worth of goods. 3.1 billion worth of goods, and that was the down move, supposedly. But that's where it's confusing, because if you go to CNBC, yeah, I'll show you. News Squawk. Okay, so this rundown podcast, or this rundown that they do every morning, I don't do the podcast, but I just read it. Okay, really good. What does this say? Sentiment is downbeat, with U.S. futures faring better than EU peers following a tentative APEC session before stocks deteriorated in EU hours mid U.S. trade updates. U.S. is reportedly targeting 3.1 billion of exports from France, Germany, Spain, and the U.K. with new tariffs. News flow, which sparked further risk off and sent the 10-year yield below 70 basis points. Okay, so News Squawk says tariff news. Come over here, CNBC. Literally nothing about it. Literally nothing about it. It's not happening. The retail crowd has no clue. We're all wondering, what's going on? Why are we down? Now, Zero Hedge has something. Zero Hedge had something. GNC files for Chapter 11. Wow. Futures slide on renewed trade war fears. Surge in virus cases. So, I don't know. Oh, you know what? So I was at my parents' house yesterday, and he has a new floor thing for his chair, and I want one. I'm going to look that up. Move this back over here, and I'm going to look that up now. Now I'm thinking about it. It was tempered glass.
Ace Trades says, just saying hi before Daddy has to go to work.
Hey,
Have a
Ace.
great day.
Have a good day. Be careful out there today, Ace. So you got a day where you kind of got a range-bound situation that could explode. So it's Wednesday, but we're within a range. There's no significant news today. So, and we've been bracketed for the past couple of days, but we're moving down. So the default is going to be range bound, but then if we get like a break lower, then it could turn into a trend day. So today is a day that could be like crazy.
Ace Trades says, just need a couple of points to wow the crowd.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, even like this right here, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna wait a little bit. That down move was pretty well. I guess the chart is being deceptive to me. That move down there, right there, seemed like big, but it's actually moving so slow that I can do this. I can zoom in and we can actually like really look at it. Okay, best office chair mats.
E-Trader says, either that market went down because of the second wave of COVID in Germany and something happened to the DAX and then correlated with the US. Seth, I only have 1 month experience, so bear with me, grin.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were that new. Well, the whole the whole coronavirus case is increasing in Texas, and Texas saying that they're going to reach hospital capacity in 11 days is definitely weighing on the markets. And I felt played a significant role yesterday in them not breaking out. When I was thinking yesterday, like there was some longs that I saw and they didn't turn out, but I didn't realize how close we were to the top of that range. So we should keep that range in mind. But I think that they could have easily busted through it, but they were skittish about it, and I think it's because of the coronavirus stuff. But the strong move down in the overnight session was definitely over that trade war news. I just find it curious that the U.S. outlets, well, at least CNBC. What about Bloomberg? Let's go to Bloomberg. Bloomberg.com. Mm-mm-mm. Well, so their top story is EU may ban US flyers, Merkel and Macron to meet. Ooh. And they do have a story about the tariffs. It's just CNBC that's clueless. Oh, come on. Let me see it. I've reached my free article limit. So lame. So lame. It's just not on CNBC. I don't know. Guys. Mm-hmm.
E-Trader says I should learn how to interpret news. That's the hardest thing, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's really hard to give a rules that always matter sort of a thing. I can tell you kind of some things that to look for. Well, I think the thing to always start with news and is to start with economic news, right? So you'll go to like forexfactory.com is probably the best free place to go. Where is it? This right here, Forex Factory, and it'll tell you what you got on the docket for that day. Let's have it show the whole week. But one of the things that's nice about this is, for instance, we've got final GDP quarter over quarter tomorrow. Okay. What is it? Well, here it tells you where it comes from. The latest release tells you what it is, annualized change in the inflation adjusted value of all goods and services produced by the economy. Forex Factory notes, while this is quarter over quarter data, it's reported in an annualized format. The previous listed is the actual from the preliminary release and is therefore the history data will appear unconnected. There are 3 versions of GDP released a month apart: advanced, preliminary, and final. The advanced release is the earliest and thus tends to have the most impact. Cool. So that's like everything that you need to know. And if you want to know more about that, then you can just go and search for it, right? So this is the first thing you want to know what it is. But then the next thing is you want to know what the expectation
Vincenzo
is.
C says thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Know what the expectation is, and you want to judge the market's positioning ahead of it as well. So we're coming in, we'll do tomorrow is a good one. So we've got GDP quarter over quarter. The expectation is -5. Okay. Here we can see the history. Okay. -5 is pretty bad. When we've had bad ones, they tend to be a little bit worse than expected, or actually they tend to be a little bit better than expected. But I don't try and do a technical analysis of it. You just want to get an idea of, okay, what does that number tend to be like? Okay. So it tends to be between 2 and 4, but we're going to get a -5. Okay. So then, so that's the expectation. And then the next thing that I want to know is I'm going to want to know what the market positioning is. So like if it was about to come out like right now, it would be curious to me that people are buying into the news, right? That's the thing you're watching is like, are there moves going into it? Or if there's not like a strong move going into it, what does the cumulative delta kind of suggest to us? So that we can determine, are there people that are long or short, right? And then based on all of that information, then we can kind of make some guesses about what's going to happen, right? So I can come in and I can say, okay, they're expecting 5. They're positioned long going into the news. If it ends up being worse than expected, then that'll probably really spook the market and we'll probably move down a ton. Whereas if we move up, it looks like that the market is already expecting the move to be good. So the upside may be limited because people are already long. In fact, you can get a situation where they're already long and excessively so. And if the number isn't really, really good, if it's just kind of like in line with expectations, they might actually sell it. Okay. So we get that. Then the next thing with the news is when it happens, you're going to get this action, right? And I'm going to be looking at, well, first of all, how much flow actually come through. Let me move this back over here. Right? So sometimes, like with some of the news yesterday, it'll come in and just be like a little tiny blip and nothing really happens. Right? Oh, it's in line with expectations. Nobody wants to trade off of that. But sometimes you will get an immediate boosh, boosh, boosh. Okay. So then that's going to tell us some other things, right? Like if it's impactful news, but there's still two-way trade on it, you get a pattern like this. Okay. You got to be careful with those because sometimes might move up and then they say, okay, well, we made the initial trade. Now that that's passed, we're looking forward to the next things, and we say other stuff is more important. That can happen. Or we get this. And sometimes you will see it where the number will come out. Like a really great example would be, what was it? A couple of Fridays ago? It wasn't last Friday, but maybe like 2 or 3 Fridays ago when we had the, what number was it? Was it retail sales? I don't remember, but it was that huge, crazy beat, right? Insane beat. It came up like that, and then there was, and you could have known from how much they outperformed the number, that was something that could go all day. And they give you like this really easy spot to get in. Like it's, you would think that they shouldn't, but the reality is that this spike right here is done by robots that don't really know what's going on, and they don't have the ability to sit down and say, this is going to be a trend day. But you can. And those are the situations that you want to look for, right? Okay. So then the next thing that I would think about is surprise news. Okay. So the first thing with surprise news is you're going to use some of those same metrics that we were just talking about. Okay. So like, what was the market positioning at the time? Were we like having a big move up, and then all of the sudden, Donald Trump came out and said, actually, the China trade deal absolutely is off, and we're going to impose new tariffs right now. Okay, the market's going to tank on that. Why? Because they were positioned long, and because what he just said has high impact. All right. Now, the third thing that you have to consider with news like that, though, is it real? And this is the hard one. So with Peter Navarro the other day, the administration doesn't come and make huge earth-shattering changes to their approach on trade during a throwaway interview on Fox News at night. They would not do that. That would be something that they would have a press conference for, that Donald Trump would tweet about during the day, that they would give the markets the chance to react to. It doesn't happen at night. So when that comes out and they say, there was an interview, one of the first things that I want to do is watch the actual interview, go to the source of the news if I can. If it was an interview, I want to read what they were saying in the context of what they were saying to see, okay, did they really say that? Or is the headline that I'm getting deceptive? And it's very, very often the case these days that the headline that you get is deceptive. The headline always gives you an impression about things that is false in some way. Almost always, right? But maybe the impression that it gives you that thing that's kind of false, or that's they're using to grab people's attention, is not really pertinent or relevant. I don't know. Anyways, so you can go in and you can think about those sorts of things. So with Peter Navarro, that one's an easy call. It's fake. He made an offhand comment that he did not intend to move the markets with, and it moved the markets and it was bad, and they're going to walk it back, and they did. So you could have faded that one, right? That's how you got to do it. But the thing that's really hard, is impact, right? Because now you have to start thinking about, okay, how much does this change people's expectations, right? It's like the news thing. With an economic number, we can say, okay, well, they were expecting negative 5%, and we actually got negative 3%. That's really good, right? And you can quantifiably measure it. But if they come out and they say, well, we're going to impose 3.1 billion worth of goods on the European Union, well, we're kind of already like talking about doing tariffs. So how much was the market expecting? And right now, I don't really have an estimate. Sometimes they have estimates on those sorts of things. I guess that is the situation when there's a number. But another piece of news could be John Bolton is publishing a book. The market actually kind of sold a little bit when they talked about John Bolton's book on Friday. Was it last Friday? I think it was last Friday, right? How do you do that one? Well, it decreases Donald Trump's chances of being president, but polls were already saying that he could lose. So is that really a change in expectations? Seems to me like not. But if Donald Trump doesn't become president, that's high impact. Okay, so high impact, but maybe not much different from expectations. Actually, in this case, I'd say low impact. The chances that Donald Trump is not going to be elected solely because of John Bolton is silly. Everybody's going to forget about him before the election comes. Okay, impact low. So those are the dynamics that work through, but it's really experience, man. You'll learn there are certain things that the market cares about. I'll tell you one thing that has always stood out to me is, just like everything else, there is a metagame involved, right? With trading, with technical analysis, rather, you will see that the market will go through periods where a certain technical signal will work really well, and then the rest of the market will catch on to it, and they will try to front run it, and then there will be other people that will come in and start to target that trade and trade against it. And because that's like, it starts to become the dominant force, so then there's people that play counter meta. And it's the same thing with news. You will get something where, okay, when we had the number of coronavirus cases on, like Wednesday and Thursday and Friday of last week, and the market reacted strongly to that. So now all of the Twitter robots and all of the traders and everything are thinking, okay, this number matters. So when it happens, again today, probably going to move the market. It didn't happen yesterday because the Monday number is always low. But if they come out today and the Texas number is really bad, right, market's probably going to move on that, simply because they've been moving on that. Whereas 3 or 4 weeks ago, those numbers, nobody cared about them, right? But because there's been a market reaction to it recently, they're more likely to pay attention to it, right? So this one, what was it? What was the news? What was the big one that I keep forgetting? What was the big one that like really moved us? Was it the non-farms? It was the non-farms. Yeah, it was the non-farms. Okay. So July non-farms, because last non-farms was such a big deal, this next non-farms, everybody's going to be looking at it to see if it confirms what happened on last non-farms. Okay. But there's always that counter meta thing, right? So we could get into a situation where the market is expecting and they're positioning themselves to have a big move off of the July non-farms report, but the number doesn't matter as much anymore in reality because we already know that we're on the way to a recovery and we have a bunch of other numbers that kind of already tell us the trajectory. And then the number comes out and it's mostly in line with expectations. Maybe that I've seen that happen before where the market gets all geared up for a piece of news because last time it was a big piece of news. And then they get disappointed because they realize after it goes and they've all taken positions that it doesn't actually have as significant of an impact as they thought it did. Um, so yeah, I think that's about all of my thoughts on it at the moment on reading news. But those are the sorts of things that you look at. It's very much an experience thing. I think that's one of the things that takes a really long time. And another thing is that markets react differently at different times of year. So part of why I think it takes several years to really get good at trading is to go through the seasons and realize the seasonality of it. So we went through a time period for a long time before all of this nonsense.
E-Trader says it will take time for me to learn all that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's not easy, and that's why I say, trading takes a long time to learn because the fundamentals take a long time to learn. But yeah, we went through a long time period last year where the markets just did not respond to economic announcements at all. It was very frustrating for me because I like to trade the economic releases and it wasn't reacting to them. The other thing with fundamentals is that once you start getting into fundamentals, then you start getting into some of the economic stuff,
Fitzson says, how did you learn futures trading?
Well, so I took a course to learn order flow from No BS Day Trading, just the beginner's course. That was kind of the thing that got me started. And so like trading, and when I think about trading, it's like reacting to the market just from the market generated information. All of that was just from learning how the order flow works and then watching the market for consistently every day for what 3 or 4 years now. But I think the stuff that helps me more has been, I used to watch CNBC obsessively. I don't get cable news anymore, so I don't watch it anymore. But I do a lot of reading, right? Like I visit the CNBC homepage a lot. I visit Zero Hedge a lot. I visit pretty much any economic source that is going to be giving me information about what the market is doing, especially the macroeconomics of like which sectors are doing well, where's the money moving to, like the political news and understanding the political news and then how it applies to the market, right? It's just watching it. It takes time. And then, I did work for Goldman Sachs for a few years in the technology department, and they didn't teach me anything about trading, but you still pick stuff up from that. Just kind of little things about how the business is actually structured and works and things like that end up mattering from time to time. Like I can go through and I can read. I was reading this Tony Pasquale will post a note every week. He's the kind of the head of hedge fund sales at Goldman Sachs, and Zero Hedge will pull out his note that he sends out and post it on Zero Hedge. And because I worked at Goldman Sachs and I understand, like I was looking through there, one of the things as he was pointing out.
E-Trader says, did you ever meet with Lloyd Blackfein?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did once. I asked him a question about what the short term outlook of the economy was, and he kind of went to. It's actually kind of a funny thing because he was talking about, well, what we see here in our outlook is that, you know, fixed income in these emerging markets is going to be an important thing going forward, and so we're building up our business in that area. And then what ended up happening is that stuff ended up going nowhere, and the bank didn't do very well. And that's kind of why Goldman Sachs's price has been down a little bit. But he's a good guy. I like him. The guy that they've got now, what is his name? David? I forget his name. But he came from the technology space, so I see him many
E-Trader says,
times.
ha 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 ha.
I'm shaking his hand. He would
E-Trader
do.
says Solomon David.
Yeah, Solomon. That's right. David said Solomon David. He what would often happen is when like the executives from New York were visiting, they would almost always have, you know, a little seminar where they, you know, and it was often one where they would just answer questions. They would also do that with politicians, like this famous speech that he gave at Goldman Sachs when Hillary spoke to them. Um, I didn't sit there in it for it live, but I knew what she said. Like I knew what she said because I was there at the time. And I remember when everybody was talking about her speech and people were, you know, on the internet were saying, there's, you know, it'll leak and it'll be so bad. And other people were like, no, it's not a thing. And I knew, I was like, no, she said shit that's going to make her look bad. And she did. Oh man, that one was interesting. But they do those, right? And so because David Solomon was in the technology group and that was the group that I was in, and a lot of in Salt Lake was there, he had been by, you know, multiple times. So I had heard him speak multiple times and had met him. And I really like him. And I think that the direction that he's taking them is much more sense. I mean, you would want your bank to be good at the banking things, right? But the reality of this situation is that spreads are very, very tight right now. Interest rates are very, very low and are likely to be low for a really long time. And even worse, the thing that Goldman Sachs has been good at, which is trading, because of this environment right now, they're probably doing great. Oh, I bet they're doing amazing right now. But a year or 2 years from now, assuming that like this recovers, when you have that much monetary support from the central bank, it really, really clamps down on volatility. And then the bank doesn't do very well. And you add on top of that people in general just aren't trading as much. More people are putting money into the index funds. More of the trading is being done by robots, you know, that compresses their earning potential. So they needed to go somewhere else. And so going into the consumer space, I think is really, really smart. And they have good technology people there that are going to be able to do things with their banking that will make them, you know, a really attractive option for people. So I like the way that he's taking them. But I like him in particular. Anyways, how did I get on that? Oh yeah, because you asked me if I had met Lloyd. Because we asked how did I learn futures trading. I don't know. The thing is that I think where I kind of have an advantage.
E-Trader says, I wish I had knowledge.
Oh well, thank you. I mean, the funny thing is that when I sit down and I think about things, I'm always on the there's so many things that I don't know. Like I know here in treasuries that if a corporation is going to go and offer bonds because they know that the Federal Reserve is going to buy them all, so they want to offer bonds. You want to lock in a certain interest rate, then you come over here and you sell them. So you can get selling in the treasuries from people hedging against their corporate bond offerings. And then when they're done with their selling, they can move back up. And I don't know when that's happening or how to find that information. There are people that do though. And I don't really know how all of that works. That's something that I don't know. So you start to get into this point where there's so many things that you don't know, and it's really quite staggering, right? Like the amount that we retail traders know compared to these professionals that trade it, it's then you start to realize why we're at such a disadvantage. I think that you do better if you focus on the fundamentals and try and learn all of these things rather than just relying on technicals, because with technicals there's so much noise. The edge that you can pull out of purely technicals is just extremely limited. Okay. But you're going to go down the route of fundamentals. That's a long path. And even after that long path, there's going to be a lot of things that you just can't know because you're in retail. That's always my thinking. The thing that I think I'm good at is the politics side, because I've been so engrossed in the politics for a long time, and also the data science of the politics, that I'm able to make certain predictions. So like one of the things that I guess a feather in my cap, was in the election. I was able to go through and have it. I can actually show it to you guys. I no, I downloaded it. I downloaded it. I can show it to you guys. Electoral combinations. I didn't get too deep into it this year because I'm not 100% sure what the swing states are yet. But what this does is it comes in here and you say, okay, here are the swing states. What combinations of states do you need to win? And it'll list them all out. So I knew going into the election which states he needed to win, and that was a key part, first of all. And then we came in and it was like, well, okay, they need Pennsylvania, for instance. If you add Pennsylvania in there, then it makes it a lot more likely. Okay. And Minnesota is a big one, right? He has to win Florida, although he's likely to win Florida and Ohio.
Winston's mom says, eTrader, have you ever taken the MBTI personality test? Reveals your lead cognitive ability.
She says it's
Speculator Seth has pattern recognition. I am a NEDOM, INTJ, rational.
So anyways, I knew which states mattered. So I'm over here, and then I go to Real Clear Politics is the place to look, because they've got all the polling. Right? Okay. So, do they have one?
eTrader says nope.
Wisconsin, let's see. Okay, what was the most recent one? Okay, so they have one for 610 to 612. Biden's lead is actually diminished on that metric, which is not what people have been telling us. Let's go to a couple of these. I don't care about North Carolina. Okay, so Biden's lead has actually come down a little bit in some of these swing state polls in the past week. Here, there was this 1 week where they were like super crazy, right? But these are different polls too, so we can't read too much into that. This is CNBC Change Research one, though. So now I want to go, who is this pollster? 538 pollster ratings. Okay. Change Research. They're a C.
RJ Wheels says they LL be telling less after Maggie Haberman got cyber shamed for calling Biden a flawed candidate.
Did they really? Did she really? He is a flawed candidate. Oh, so they're actually don't have a whole lot of bias, but by a 1 percentage point, and they give them a C. So, okay, maybe shouldn't read too much into that change, but it is a change, and maybe it's even more skewed. Okay, so this is what I'm doing before the election, right? And I'm looking at it. Okay, here are the states that matter: Michigan,
RJ Wheels
Wisconsin.
says, yeah, got blistered on Twitter for telling the truth.
Michigan, Wisconsin. What are they doing here? And especially just before the election, like because what'll happen is a lot of those polls are like inaccurate until like the week before, and then all of a sudden they kind of converge on a spot, and you almost know exactly who's going to win. And there was no polling in Wisconsin and Michigan. And so all of these people were saying, oh, Donald Trump is almost certainly going to lose, like 90% that he's going to lose it. And I'm like, how can you say that when we don't have any recent data from the most important spots and the momentum has been in Donald Trump's favor? So I said, he's probably going to win, because why wouldn't they be doing polling in those states? If you're a pollster, why would you not be polling in the most important states just before the election? Well, you either were stupid or you actually did the poll and you didn't like what it said. And what happened? Donald Trump had the momentum and he won. So, because I was so engrossed in the politics, I was able to make a good call on that one. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this next time around. I think that the situation is such that almost any data that we have right now is probably bad. Right? Because the turn, for one thing, you're going to have mail-in voting in all these places much more than you did before. So that's going to change the turnout. And I don't know how you predict that. You can't. And I don't think that you can pull for that either. Right? And then you've also got these issues that they're under polling the kind of voter that tends to vote for Donald Trump. Like that person doesn't answer the phone, or he refuses to do the poll, or when he does do the poll, he lies. Right? So the polling that we have right now is probably highly inaccurate. I don't know if that means that like Donald Trump is actually in the lead. I doubt it, given the trajectory of things and everything. But the data that we have right now is like really poor, right? I don't know. Maybe that's a sign that I'm learning more, is because I have a much clearer idea of what I don't know. But the problem in futures is that you don't know what you don't know, and there's so many things that can be going on. Okay, so we just had a spike here. I'm not trading this week. I would sell that one. What was the news? Just based off of the move that happened. So I see here California cases rise 7,149 versus 5,019. That was a minute ago, though. Or about 10 minutes before they open. We've been getting this
Winston's
a lot.
mom says, will you vote for Mr. Trump again?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I think that Joe Biden is just such a poor candidate. One of the things that I was thinking about this morning, there's a little bit of an argument going on in the investment research space. So Goldman Sachs Global Information Research says that if the Democrats sweep, they will rescind the Trump tax cuts for corporations and increase taxes on corporations, and that's going to affect all of the multiples and push stocks down, which I agree with them. But I think it was Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan, I can't remember which one, says no, regardless of who gets elected, they will continue to print money, and so markets can continue to move up. Which is true, but you can't ignore those fundamentals. And it could take it further than that. If the Democrats control, Department of Justice states potential antitrust probe of Apple. That is the news. Okay, so let's do our little bit of analysis. What's the impact of that? Well, if there's Apple is a significant part of the index. So that's absolutely going to hurt the S&P 500. How significant, though, is a antitrust probe of Apple? I that one's a little tepid. If they were filing charges, then that's definitely going to affect Apple. Right now, it's kind of this is the early stages of something that could be really big, but we're not sure how big it is. So this one, it makes sense to have a good move off of it and it come back. I think if it retraces, maybe we could sell it again because the sentiment is negative, but it's not necessarily one that's just going to continue. It's probably more of it can break the camel's back. But also, they were already kind of going short into the news. So it'll be harder for them to continue to push down, right? Because they're going to need more people to come in. It's really close to the open, though. I don't know. Let's say 30.94. I'm not going to trade it. So that's kind of how we do it, right? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, there's a lot of other things that Democrats can do besides just raise taxes, right? Financial transaction tax that would destroy the United States financial industry and decimate our economy, right? What else we got? There's all these wealth taxes and so forth that they want to do. Reparations, maybe they could do that. What else do the Democrats want to do? Oh, yes. They would, I think, probably one of the first things that the Democrats would do if they had all three chambers of Congress is create a nationalized healthcare system, which would probably be very, very bad for healthcare stocks. Right? Like the deeper into it I go, the more I'm like, oh, if the Democrats took complete charge right now and the Republicans had absolutely no way of stopping them, even if all they had to do was filibuster, like if they could filibuster, then maybe it's okay. But if it's like even on the edge of like sometimes they can't even filibuster, oh, I think so bad for the economy. I don't think that the indexes would like immediately sell off after the election when that would happen, but it would be like as the proposals come out, they would sell because of what's happening and this and that. So that's my take on it. But yeah, and then you just get into Biden himself. So this is the first thing is I really don't think that I want the Democrats in power right now. But then the other thing is Biden's just a really flawed candidate. You got to realize that part of why he's doing so well is because he's just not out there. Right? When you put them on the debate stage together.
E-Trader says I'll be back going to trade my SIM account.
Yeah, no problem. With it on the debate stage, right? Like that's gonna be tough for Biden. He's not a pushover on the debate stage, but there could be real surprises there that change the entire race. There could be things like later on that change the entire race, and I think that the risk is on Biden's side. That Biden's going to do something or that something's going to happen that's going to really hurt Biden's
RJ
chances.
Wheels says plus on the trail he's going to say dumb stuff.
Yeah, he's going to say dumb stuff on the trail. I mean, the media hasn't really been covering it so well, but like Donald Trump has made ads and I think that those ads are effective. And there's the memes. I quite frankly, going through the Black Lives Matters thing, I think that in the long run of things, that Republicans are notching some wins that we aren't really seeing. Everybody just thinks, well, they take the media line of it. Well, Republicans are racist, and a movement against racism in the United States, that's going to hurt Republicans. It's not so simple, right? Because what's really happening is people are saying, well, if I put Democrats in charge, they're just going to let these rioters just completely destroy everything. I don't think that it speaks well to the chances of Democrat incumbents in cities like mayors and governors and stuff like that. Ugh. How could you vote for a Democrat mayor right now after what's happening in Seattle, for instance? And I think that the right has done a very good job of you know letting them do their thing and mocking it. Then that's where I say I think that there's going to be some surprises very much in favor for Republicans. But then so there's like lots of surprises, and then on top of that, we have polling that's probably not very accurate. It's going to be really hard to predict what's going to happen. Well, I just blabbed two subjects for an hour, feeling good about it. But now I'm out of stuff to talk about. Before that, I was looking for a tempered glass mirror chair mat. So let's go back and look. See, I don't want a mat that rolls up. Thicker mat. This didn't really give me the information and options that I'm interested in. Hmm. So there's a tempered glass one right there. Okay, so here's the open. There was a little bit of a cell. Crisis like no other. IMF sees even deeper global recession, warns markets are disconnected from reality. There's a little bit of a buy there, and it done. I don't know. Cumulative delta wise, we're still a little questionable. You know what I want to do while we're doing this? Okay, add this histogram here. On the 1 minute chart, okay. Actually, I think I would rather do it on the range chart. Better. Okay. Well, so far the buyers are seem to be making a valiant effort. They look like they're uh, bumping into quite a bit of resistance, but I haven't really seen a real break yet. Okay, so there they tried to break and they got smacked back down after 3100 pretty hard. Okay. Well, as we've moved down here, it's become a little erratic. They're pushing though. Kind of interestingly, we do have two-way flow. So so far, I guess I could say this is still indicative of a range-bound market. I very much see this possibility of them just like the floor dropping out from underneath of them, but so far it's not happening, and I feel like I'm in this situation where it's like you want it to happen and it doesn't happen yet. It might be better to wait for it to actually happen than try and predict it. Okay, now they're on the upside. The level 2 is much stronger on the upside. Overall, that Apple news, I'd have to say, ended up being a dud because they were already, like I said, they were already positioned short. It went down, but then it retraced. And I was like, well, maybe on the open. But on the open, they're not going for it. So it seems like for now they're ignoring it because it doesn't have a high enough impact.
Gary Rich says two-way flow. The indices have an enlarged prostate. Drip drip up and down. If you tinkle while you sprinkle, be a sweetie and wipe the CT.
Is that what's going on? So, do you see there that excessive level 2 changes right there when they started breaking 3100? But I think that that means, well, let's see what happens. Often when that happens, they're going to flip, at least temporarily. I guess it kind of slowed down at least. Like they're going a little higher. Yeah, okay.
Gary Rich says yikes, all 11 S&P sectors sink at open. Bloomberg.
Really? Hmm. The trend started really high today. What's with that? Started really high, but advancers decliners is down and a fall down vol is down. And we did start very, very much low on the tick. Wow, it was like 1349, very extreme reading on the tick. Okay. So now they're turning back down around. So like I was saying, it's like when you get this, okay, they pushed a little bit further and then they turned back around. Are they pushing higher without more people jumping on board? I've watched this on the E-mini and I thought, it wasn't too useful, but that was like more on a 1 minute chart. So now I'm watching it here on this one range chart and I'm going like, this actually looks useful.
RJ Wheel says summertime.
Yeah. Well, you look at you can see that they're definitely more interested in the longs still. I wonder though if they come back down to 30.99, they fail this, and if that changes their minds. Okay, so here it is. They did break a little lower on the downside.
RJ Wheel says back to politics, Seth.
It should. What do you want to hear about politics? Oh, you want to hear a funny story while we're doing it? So we have a brother-in-law that is pretty liberal. He's from California, and they were talking politics, which was okay because it was like, okay, seems like an informative conversation and not like an actual debate. And but then my dad gets into somehow, so he was making a point. His point was, I think his point was that something that I think bothers my dad is that Democrats claim to be the party of morals, when in his opinion, the Democrat Party is absolutely not in line with what he thinks is moral. You know, and one of the primary things is their stance on abortion. And so I was going through it, and I was like, well, okay, you probably don't believe in late term abortion, right? And so we went into this thing like, okay, most late term abortions are not are medically necessary, are considered medically necessary. Now that one's a little there's quite an interesting argument about that one, because they're saying, hey, if you're 9 weeks along, you don't abort the baby, you just have a birth, and if the baby survives or not, right? But you don't do like a straight up abortion at that point. That doesn't make sense. Um, Now there's not very many. I think it's like 1%. I think it's like 1% of all abortions, something like that. I used to know that the stats like really, really well. I think it's like 1% of all abortions. His thing was like, well, you guys think that I think that babies should be killed, and that's not what I believe. I I just don't think that the government should be can interject into that decision because it's between a doctor and the wife, or sorry, the doctor and the mother, which to me is like, I mean, I don't like that argument. To me, it's like if the doctor and the mother decide to murder somebody, it's still murder. That's my thinking. But my wife, she she is very like she she is very, very anti-abortion. Um, yeah, I remember when that was a thing, when the governors were saying these things that like, if there's an abortion and the baby's still alive, then what happens? And then they're like, we make the baby comfortable, we make the fetus comfortable, and we have a discussion about it or something. It's like that, like horrifies her. Oh man, it bothers her so much. And the thing is, she's not really into politics, and she's not like a scholarly person. Okay, she was homeschooled. She got a bachelor's in psychology, okay, from the University of Utah. So she doesn't consider herself an arguer or a debater or anything, but like she asked like one or two questions, and then the question was, okay, but like some babies will be that are late term abortion will be unnecessary. There will be some that aren't medically necessary. Are you, and does that mean that you're okay with the babies that do get murdered in the third trimester or whatever it is, right? And he just flipped. Like, I think it was like cognitive dissonance or something. I shouldn't laugh about it because I would feel bad. I thought it was like going somewhere productive until she did that, and it was like she said one or two things, and it was like so offended that like that you would say that I kill babies, but from my perspective, that's what you're doing. If you're like I think the law should be, if it's the third trimester, in order to do an abortion, you need to get a waiver signed by your doctor, and it should be signed by like a doctor and maybe like two other people, so that you don't get this doctor that you can just shop to this doctor and he'll always give it to you or something like that, right? So there's got to be some mechanism in place to ensure that it really is medically necessary. But then if it's medically necessary, then you can get it. Cool. That's the way that I think it should be. The way that it is now, there are some babies. Maybe they're not very many, but I know that it happens where, you wanted to just abort in the third trimester for shits and giggles, you could do it. It's legal. And I say it shouldn't be. And I say that if you oppose making a law to handle that, then you are in part responsible for those deaths. But that, man, that really set him off, man. It was very interesting to me that was where the line was like, I hate this. Don't want to talk about this because you're saying something that's so offensive to me. It's like, okay. So there's your politics. You guys didn't say anything about it. Maybe abortion isn't an issue that really gets you guys going. Mm. So I continue to see a lot of people trying to buy this. Hmm. This could get ugly, guys. Where are we at? I need to come back to our higher time frames. Okay. So we're not into the lows until 30, 80, 75. 30. Oh man, that's way closer than it seems. Okay. OVL. Previous days. Oh man, yesterday's low. Nobody cares. Yes, yesterday's low, not relevant. Too far down there, based off of you know news that, yeah, ignore that one. So really, it's going to be really the downside. Well, let's say
Gary Rich says latest IMF June 2020 report GDP for US 1.1 QTR 2021.
yes, we did see a tweet about that. Let's read the whole thing though later today, or add that to our list. Man, when you look at the chart, okay, 5 points seems like really far away, but 5 points is nothing in these markets. I s- I am still seeing an excess of buying. So I'm wondering if that stacking, I wasn't paying close enough attention. I'm wondering if that stacking was them absorbing to sell it. Because my feeling was that when we were up at 3103, let's say, was when I wanted to sell it. And yeah, you're already 20 points. How much absorbed up there? That's a good question. Okay. 8,000 traded at 30.98. It's not like a crazy amount, but it's enough for the
Gary
open.
Rich says they need to plug a hole in the galactic commander Fauci. He talks and the markets get spooked.
Oh, you think so? That press conference yesterday. But you know what? This is a really weird situation now because the markets seem to be saying that we should ignore the epidemiologists. After all of this noise about we need to listen to the scientists and all everything else like that, and then now when we're getting a resurgence in cases, everybody says, "Oh, just it doesn't matter."
RJ Wheel says 80.75 target is overnight low.
Now, I was in that camp too because I was saying the number of deaths, the death rate isn't that bad, and so it just really doesn't justify shutting down the economy. But big but Texas says that they are going to reach hospital capacity in 11 days. Is that an exaggeration? If Texas does reach hospital capacity, then I say we did something wrong. Because my position from the very beginning is that we absolutely have to avoid reaching hospital capacity. So if a state reaches it, then that's a problem. So don't know what to think. Here we get into this thing again. I'm starting to think that we have created, I don't know what to call it. It's like a data cult or something like that.
RJ Wheel says Arizona close to capacity too.
Arizona close capacity too. I think that we have created this aura of data that like the data is always right, and all we need to do to have success is to follow the data. And being somewhat of a data scientist myself, and also being in trading and so forth, my general conclusion after all of the statistics and things that I have been through is that that is total bullshit. That our ability to predict what is actually going to happen from data is actually quite limited, especially in instances like an
Gary Rich says
viral
what we
outbreak.
feel or seem doesn't matter on cases. The markets ebb and flow off the news. I never let my personal feelings get in the way of markets movements.
Well, I guess the question is, why is the market behaving in the way that it does? I think that the market is behaving in the way that it is because they believe that nobody is actually going to shut things down. And what I am saying is that if Texas really is going to reach hospital capacity, probably there will be places that shut down.
RJ Wheels says me either. 100 PCT technical.
And if that's the case, selling here makes sense. Okay, so now they're breaking. Um, not a huge surge of volume yet. So I can't. Let's give it some time. The momentum that they came into it with, though, was, oh yeah. You sell that. You hold that. If we were short, we'd hold that. Now, how far can it go? That's our next question, isn't it? Okay. 3066, 3035. That was a good break, I think. You can see the volume picking up too. And they're fighting it. They're buying the dip, but you can see the volume picking up. So I should be careful because on a break, I don't know if any of the things that I can see from a technical standpoint really tell us or give us a really good idea of whether or not it's going to fake break out or not. But my reading of that was that we got an increase of volume as it broke through, and that we came into it with a lot of momentum as well. Like the cumulative delta on this bar, this 5-minute bar, is pretty strong. E-Trade's data feed stopped working this morning or is lagging very far behind, says Gamma Trader. I bet. Okay, California smashes daily new cases record for a second day in a row. Well, that's what Zero Hedge is blaming it on. So if I come back here to our volume profile,
Winston's mom says you're looking jacked up. Speculator Seth, have you been working out with your weights?
I look jacked up. How do I? I just have a tighter shirt on today, I guess. You know what? It's kind of a little bit of a recovery, general fitness preparedness kind of a week. So I have been doing a little bit more upper body stuff. Okay, 3066. Okay. So the 3066 one makes sense. 3065, let's say. 3066. And then 3035. 3035 one is a little harder.
Winston's mom says trading futures livestream, the 24th of June 2026 watching now, started streaming 99 minutes ago 50 share save and please hit like for the channel and or speculator Seth S biceps.
So when we get to 3070, I do see a pivot, floor pivot. So let's see if they try and do something there. Ooh, Texas COVID-19 hospitalizations up 7.3% to 4,389 from 4,092. Oh, this is looking bad, guys. You can see there it is on the floor pivot, right? So here is exactly one of the situations that I've been talking about, right? There's some technical analysts that want to trade that floor pivot, right? But the all of the fundamentals say to me that we're probably going to go down to 3066 and below. So I think that you blow these guys. Like let it bounce a little bit. Let them get excited about it. Let them get excited about it, and then I think that they're going to get dashed. Let's see what happens. So they could probably do another little move down because they didn't actually touch 3070. Okay, there it is right there. Like it's still going. I think you trade against him. Like there is volume there.
Winston's mom says my husband is arriving today and I have told him if he gives me COVID
Ugh.
and I die, I will haunt him. I know how, lol.
You will haunt him forever. You gave me COVID. My death is because of you. Now you must die too. No, I don't think that's what she would do. I think that she would haunt him with random facts scoured from the internet. I think that's what she would do. Okay, 3075. Igor thinks that might have been it for lows, huh? See where they do it. I want to see them get excited. I think I want to see more like 1,000 put on. Good cross sell in bonds. Okay, so the bonds did have been doing some interesting stuff, haven't they? Oh, wait,
Winston's mom says, random facts cool, you know me well.
okay, yeah, my Z and chart is messed up. There was a little bit of a peak there in the 30-year and in the 5-year. Oh, this one's jacked up too. Well, let's see what happens. Okay, so here's where I sell it. Trying with my newer this new indicator. So I'm spitballing here a little bit, right? I think you take it. Okay.
Winston's mom says the color of the egg depends on the chicken's earlobes. Red earlobed chickens lay brown eggs, while white earlobed chickens lay white eggs.
Oh,
Chicken
really?
rooster.
So what about green ones? What about green? How do you get green eggs? Okay, they're definitely trying to buy the dip. DC Court of Appeals rules Michael Flynn case can end and Department of Justice request to drop charges can be accepted by the federal district court. Good deal. What do I say? Good deal. I think
Winston's
they
mom
did the
says
right
read
thing.
Dr. Seuss, of course, but Googling now.
How do you get green? Because I have a chicken that lays green eggs. One of them, it's green. I'm buying the dip there at 73. Ooh, hold up, hold the boat. Do it. Be so much fun. Think of all of those juicy stops at 30.69. Oh, so tempting. Come on. Now, I think I should reset my DOM here. Well, I think that my 5 year, my 10 and 5 year treasuries are just screwed.
Winston's mom says an olive egger, a chicken that lays olive green eggs, is the product of a cross between a hen and rooster that are from a brown egg and a blue egg laying breed.
There's
Winston's mom
blue
says
egg.
Leghorn chickens lay white eggs while Orpingtons lay brown eggs and Americana produce blue eggs.
Americana produce blue eggs. Oh. So my Americana is not a pure Americana then. Is what you're telling me. I wonder if there's something in that workspace that's broken. Goldman, we think a decline in hospital capacity below 20% could pressure states to consider slowing or reversing reopening. According to the CDC, Alabama and Maryland currently have 23% of ICU beds available, and Arizona has 25% available. What does Texas have? Because Texas said 11 days. Okay. By the way, Bitcoin somewhat volatile this morning. Ah, now I can see clearly.
Winston's mom says that may spam.
That may spam, huh?
Winston's mom says link to MSU.
Oh, no. Hold on. Post, post, post that link again.
Winston's mom says why are chicken eggs different colors? Contrary to popular belief, a brown chicken egg is not healthier than a white chicken egg. Dorothy Munn, Michigan State University Extension, December 29, 2013. Gary Rich says at mom.
Still not getting tenure data? There it is. Okay. Data's still... It's not all quite working yet. Okay.
eTrader says hey, does anyone by chance does not have live market data on Ninja Demo? Please, I need help.
Does not have live market data on Ninja Demo? Well, sometimes when things get really volatile, they throttle the demo data. I think that the demo and the regular data are all on the same thing. Like they're running on the same servers, and so when they need the capacity from the demo servers, they switch. Just a theory. Okay.
eTrader says I never had this problem until today. It does not work.
Oh, we need to change
Gary
one
Rich
more
says
thing.
white, brown, orange watch out for the cancel culture they coming for the eggs. Winston's mom says this city never sleeps. Eurythmics 9.5 weeks soundtrack Gary Rich strawberry cherry banana thanks.
Okay. So I think that my initial one where I said that's where I would sell, I was spitballing based on the way this thing turns, was an okay sell there, but then it was short lived and it turned back higher. And I wasn't really able to see the whole thing there as they turned back higher. So let's just still kind of wait it out. I don't think that the floor pivot's going to hold. I think that the situation is such that they could totally take it out. There is a good amount of buying the dip, though. How much is it? Well, it's enough, let's say. Okay. Seller's pushing. Hmm. So for them to turn where they did is curious. For them to turn where they did suggests that there's still a lot of momentum down because they didn't break kind of a level that I kind of consider a little bit of a turning point. They came just shy of it.
Gary Rich says gonna stay short on YM till 11 Eastern.
Okay, they touched it to the tick. There was a little bit of craziness as it started to come down. Ooh, they're
Winston's mom
getting
says I
playing
forgot
it.
how sexy this movie was. Wow.
What movie?
RJ Wheels says good work, Gary.
The
I
city
bailed
never
out way early
sleeps.
on YM.
You're gonna stay short. Well, Igor in Discord is a smart guy, and he thinks that might have been the low of the day. So I think we're kind of on opposing sides of a trade here. Not that I'm actively trading it, so I'm trying to be careful because I'm still like I think that I'm likely to be like off, but I think that the fundamentals in my VIX range have a better probably have a better giving me a better expectation of give me a better expectancy. I think that my VIX levels and the fundamentals give me a better expectancy than floor pivots do. I think that floor pivots in particular are nonsense.
Gary Rich says 9.5 weeks is one of my faves. Such Mind Games by Mickey Rourke. Awesome.
Okay.
RJ Wheels says rumor Winston. Kim Basinger was paid $2 million for 9.5 weeks, 100 grams for acting and $1.9 million to kiss Mickey Rourke. Gary Rich says these moves down are clearly due to COVID cases rising.
Do we have news at the top of the hour?
Winston's mom says he was something else. Have you seen
That
Diner or
happens
the Pope
later.
of Greenwich Village?
We do got the oil here in a bit.
RJ Wheels says yup. And the wrestler. Gary Rich says yes. Very good movie.
New York City is considering 22,000 layoffs to save $1 billion.
Gary Rich says during this quarantine I've watched every James Bond movie, even the Roger Moore ones.
Really? Every single one, huh? Do you have them like all on video? E-Trade. Dave Portnoy says E-Trade decided not to work this morning.
Gary
My rep
Rich
is on
says
vacation.
Yes.
This will not end well for you, E-Trade. Oh wait, does he have a video? Let's watch him and laugh at his retail stupidity.
I don't even know half. I'm gonna refresh half the time.
RJ
I can't
Wheels
tell if
says your
E-Trade's working or not. It's such a bitch. Can't tell what E-Trade's like ahead, behind. It looks like the fucking system's freezing on E-Trade. Can't tell what the hell's going on because E-Trade's like frozen. Jesus, E-Trade. How is E-Trade this bad so many times? Like the numbers aren't updating on E-Trade. They're just frozen. I've frozen pizza. I literally have no idea what's happening because E-Trade is frozen. You think Howard Marks is dealing with frozen? I just have frozen pizza. E-Trade, your entire thing is the stock market and you're frozen. How am I? I don't know what anything is. I'm going to have to like pick up the fucking phone and be like, can you get me stock quotes? Like the old days, getting scores on a 1-800 number.
He's talking about E-Trade as broker.
Happening. I have millions of dollars in play and I got screen that is frozen. Dr. E-Trade, wake up and get in the game. I lost 20 grand. I didn't know that because E-Trade's a dickhead. I'm flying blind. I have no idea what is happening. This is definitely, they're fucking with us. Hello? I want a $1 million refund from E-Trade. I'm now down 105. I don't know what's happening.
This is 4 minutes of this. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I'm not going to subject you guys to 4 minutes of that. Hey, listen. What is his name? Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy. You get what you pay for. Choose your broker wisely. I really don't think it's too smart to be trading millions of dollars on an E-Trade account. Just saying. I know people that trade much smaller accounts. Okay. Like they're managing other people's accounts, but they're a couple of accounts of, thousands and not million like you. And they pay way more for their platform and their setup, huh? You're spending that much, you should go and get a real platform, not freaking E-Trade. Oh my gosh.
RJ Wheels says a lot of kids are gonna lose money following him.
You're probably right. I'm hearing that like teenagers are doing it now. Gosh, we're really okay. What were you saying, guys, about James Bond?
RJ Wheels says your favorite. Winston's mom says RJ Wheel lol, she is my age now. We can both still carry off that white shirt look, clinking glasses if I do say so for myself. Lol. RJ Wheel says diamonds are forever as mine. Gary Rich says to Russia with love, Goldfinger, Casino Royale. RJ Wheel says Sean Connery. He is Bond. Winston's mom says Casino Royale or the one with Ursula Andress. RJ Wheel says a lot of kids are gonna lose money following him. Winston's mom says RJ Wheel Sean Connery. He is Bond, I agree. Gary Rich says Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. I'm not gay but he is sexy.
Daniel Craig was another one of those guys that was like, okay, I could be bald. I've been letting the beard grow out too long, but I always wanted to be just a little stubbly like him. Stubbly, is that a thing? Man, I still have the video over here and you can see his face. Let's all laugh at him for a moment. I am sorry. You know what? Listen, I make mistakes too. We were having a little bit of problems with Ninja Trader earlier today because I've been messing with the charts and not like Ninja Trader. I do not mess with the charts when I'm actually going to trade because, man, sometimes I'll change stuff up and then that's when it starts to be funky on me. But, okay, David Portnoy is doing some dumb shit and I think it's fucking hilarious when he gets pissed off And I'm happy to see it. I am. No offense. It's nothing personal. Actually, maybe it is something personal. Maybe it is personal. Nah, fuck you, Dave. Yeah. I don't know. Pisses me off. That well, like listen, I think that people should stream. It's great. It's great to see people stream. I'm just be responsible about it. You know what I mean? I really don't think that Dave is. And that's what makes me mad about it. I digress. The Florida coronavirus data is usually out in a few minutes, but was a bit later yesterday, says Forex Live.
Gary Rich says Portnoy can afford it. Barstool sold
Sure.
for 400 mil.
You would think, though, that if he could afford it, that he could just afford a real platform. I know it's not great, but you could do Interactive Brokers or TD Ameritrade. That would be better. TD Ameritrade is that problem. You know, anytime that there's like craziness, I usually, for futures at least, I get complaints about those guys in the futures markets. But
RJ Wheel says, but his followers can't.
yeah, but that's where you start talking about the platforms that like most people can't even dream of using, right? Like hell, he could probably get
RJ Wheel
access
says
to.
he wants max eyeballs.
He could get access to hedge fund level stuff. He's using E-Trade? What? Well, at least he's not using Robinhood. It could be worse. It could be worse. He wants max eyeballs. Oh, you're right. If he was trading with some different software, then everybody would, like me, they come in, all of those retail traders go in and they say, well, I don't have Jigsaw. I'm not interested in this. And then they don't watch. The market ear tweets, airliners back to Buffett buy levels soon? Oh.
Gary Rich says Portnoy is new to trading. Cut him some slack. We all did dumb stuff when we all got retarded.
You're probably right. Well, that's what I'm saying. The thing that bothers me about it is like if he was to come in and say, okay, I'm trying this trading thing and I'm new and I don't really know what I'm doing, and then that would be great. And you come in and you say, I'm doing this. That's just me. I'm not saying that you should take it or not take it or any of this nonsense. I'm trading and I don't know what I'm doing. But that's not what he does. He's like, I'm greater than Warren Buffett. Okay, dude, that's somebody that's asking to be humbled. You know what I mean? And I like this chart right here. They are pointing out something interesting that they're coming. This was where they kind of like really busted down in the airlines, and that was kind of where Warren Buffett sold. And now the airliners have been retracing back and are getting back to his levels. I believe that in the end, Warren Buffett's going to be right about airlines. Maybe he didn't get a good exit on the trade, but I don't think that there's any reason to own them right now. Not for a long-term investment, because it's going to be years for them to recover this. Okay, so the E-mini is starting to push down again. I'm not getting the turn quite that I want to see. I think there's still more time on this. But let's see. We could be wrong. They could just like go straight down there. You can see though, the buyers are trying to hold it. How much do we have here now? Well, they did get to 15K.
RJ Wheels says, but Gary, we were alone in our basement trading, not holding public rallies. Wait a minute. Gary Rich says Portnoy lost 3 mil in March, but he's making a comeback. He is a provocator.
Oh, here it
RJ
comes.
Wheel says provocateur.
Whoa, what was that? Must have been the Florida cases. They didn't break again yet?
RJ Wheel says I just want to see if she can say it. Not correcting you.
Do it. Do it, please. Please. So happy. Would be so happy.
Gary Rich says my bad for spelling I'm Asian with slanted eyes.
Okay, they're still trying to hold it on the low, but it went. They touched a new low. Okay. They're still on the shorts. There's not enough people jumping on it. U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo, if Iran's arms embargo is removed in October, Iran will be able to buy Russian and Chinese fighter jets.
Today?
With these deadly European and Asian planes, maybe the tip of Iran's attack, the U.S. will never let it happen. Okay. See, they broke a new low. It was a good bounce, though. There was good absorption there, and they're making it bounce. I'm still not seeing the Florida. What's Hussein? New Delhi has loud voices but needs to restrain actions. As far as I know, China is seriously committed to calming down the situation and is at the same time preparing for the worst. Don't mess with the People's Liberation Army, otherwise they will teach you a heavier lesson. Ooh, ominous. Chinese propaganda is so funny to read, guys. You know, it's almost as entertaining to read as Donald Trump propaganda. Do it. Come on. I want to see this stop so bad. Do it. Yes. Nope. Still not quite there. That was an even lower low. I still haven't seen the Florida. Okay, Florida cases rise 5.3% versus a previous 7-day average of 3 points. Oh, geez. That's bad.
Gary Rich says Japan says they can take out Chinese ships. It's gonna get fun geopolitical wise in the months ahead.
Oof. That's an oof.
Winston's mom says, Gary Rich, because your eyes are slant and slow, because your hair is sweet to touch, my heart is high again, but oh, I doubt if this will get me much. Dorothy Parker, The Complete Poems.
Guys, this is why the floor pivots are bullshit. Don't use them. I'm just telling you straight up, they don't work. They don't work. I put it on that chart. I have it on this chart because I wanted to watch it because it seemed so popular. And I'm telling you straight up, I trade against it. And it works to trade against it. 4 minutes too late, Seth. Get with it. Oh, was that news 4 minutes ago? Yeah, I don't know. The News Squawks didn't post it. Oh, you're right. Maybe it was a little bit further back and I just didn't catch it. Papa Trump needs to drop some Phase 6 China news right now. Today's video is going to be titled, Why You Shouldn't Use Floor Pivots. That's today's title. Because I'm straight up telling you, here's what you do. You look at the technical analysis indicators and the one, especially levels that people put out. I think that if it's based off of the VIX or like a different asset, that's maybe a little bit of a different thing. But if it's just based on like the overnight, blah, 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 times X, all of these, it's all market data generated information generated only from data in that one chart. Put them up on your chart. Find a spot where people are saying,
Winston's mom says the president is not yet awake and tweeting.
Yeah, I haven't seen him say anything yet. Anyways, find a level that they say is going to hold when the fundamentals and sentiment and everything favors that we move lower, or even better yet, that we have a trend day like we're having today. Trade against it. Like let them think that it's going to bounce and then just smash it. Do I need is why you shouldn't use floor pivots strong enough? Maybe I should name it why floor pivots are, well, I can't swear. Let's not swear. Why floor pivots suck. Now, why you shouldn't use floor pivots is good enough. I don't know. If you guys have an alternate suggestion, let me know. Oh, there's Donald Trump right there. Great. Appeals court upholds Justice Department's request to drop criminal case against General Michael Flynn. Hey, cool. So now can we remake him the department? No, because he lied. He lied about the Pence thing. That's why he got fired. So I don't think that they can bring him back on. I would like to see him back on, though. I think he would have done a good job. The Federal Reserve tweets, what is the Main Street Lending Program and how does it work? Watch this 2-minute video breakdown. I will add that to my list of things to watch today. In fact, I'll click the link so that I got it on here.
Winston's mom says why you shouldn't use floor pivots or revolving doors.
Or revolving. Oh my gosh! Have you ever? The first time that I encountered her, because those are not common in Utah, man. The first time I encountered a revolving door, so intimidating, man. I mean, now at the place that I work, even though we haven't been there in 6 months, but they had a revolving door and you were supposed to use it, and most of the people would avoid using it because they were
RJ
afraid of
Wheels
it.
says are small towels.
Or small. Oh man. I'd say that was a pretty good stop run too. Wasn't the most amazing that we've had, but like I feel satisfied. I feel satisfied. And we touched my target, 3066. Well, there was the bounce and there goes the plunge. Yeah. UK's trust no trade deal with the US is better than a bad deal. Well, 60 was support earlier in the week. Yeah. He has an ESS1 at 3650. I don't know. Yesterday's low was 3060, so that is going to be a level that could be have
Gary
some
Rich says keep
significant.
pounding the YM. This song reminds me of so many things, especially the markets.
Donald Trump retweets Kevin McCarthy. The left-wing mob represents a serious threat to the American way of life. They won't stop at statues. They've already torched police precincts, low-income housing, and churches. This violence against people and property cannot go unpunished. Zero Hedge says Dow drops below Navarro low as COVID case concerns soar nationwide. Okay, but the S&P 500 has not, and that's the one that matters. Oh, I hate that one. Okay, DXY mean reversion mania says the market ear. They say, despite all the big breakout calls by smart guys, this remains one of the most boring charts until we break. That chart to me isn't boring. That's like a really exciting chart, actually. It's like, what's going to happen? Oh, yes. This needs to be over here. Well, I think I want this 60-inch Lowell tempered glass chair mat. But how much is the shipping going to be? You know what, guys?
RJ Wheel
The
says good call on holding YM.
so they're not getting as much momentum down on this one. There was some overexcitement here, but it seems like the sellers are in complete control at the moment. Another thing is that the only reason why this balance here between buyers and sellers is on down that there's more limit offers on the sellers. So because of this big order at 3064. Oh wait, that's the micro though. That's only on the micro. Ooh, we should open up a second one to see if there's a difference between them. No, I think I want this one. But do I really want a 60-inch one? Like, I could make it 60 inches. It's 60 by 48. This desk is 72 inches. But am I really going to roll around that far? I don't think so. So maybe a 36-inch one. What would the 36-inch one be? 36 by 46. Well, I would need to put some measuring tape on the ground and make me think. Okay. But I think that might be enough. I should get two of them. I should get one for everyone. Okay. Sell it, sell it, sell it. Oh, if we got another low break. Oh, look at that big order in the micro. Okay, well they filled them really quickly. Stop. No, not really. Not really. That one was a little disappointing.
Gary Rich says got stopped out of crude for a loss. 9 minutes left for the YM.
Oh, really? Wait, where is the grid going? Where's my grid? Ew. That looks ugly and crude, my boy. My friend. Do I have, is that a 5-second interval width? I should be way bigger than that. I should be like 60. Yeah. Okay. So that little move down there created quite a turn in the E-mini. You know what? This is an interesting setup because I certainly see things that like could make it bounce. Okay, like that move up was like a good bounce. Now they're going lower. I'm not necessarily seeing like a ton of stop orders hit when they touch lower lows. But everything that I'm seeing in like the setup and the game plan for today was that if it goes, it's going to be a trend day. And it is definitely looking like a trend day so far. I don't know if it's going to be a pure trend day. I think it could definitely be one of those ones that pulls back a little at some point, but double distribution sort of a thing.
Gary Rich says all the foreign indices are in red.
Oh, I bet. I wonder what that buy was, because yeah. Here's a Ryan Squawk picture. 10 days till ICU limit. Red hat stimulus running dry. Biden tax inbound. Iger's taking along at 62. I mean, 60 could be a spot that they could bounce for sure. Now that I've seen the move to my target, like I know that the chances of it pulling back are significantly different, but I also know that the fundamentals support a trend day lower. And the issue that I have is that I don't really have anything from a fundamental perspective to give me a really clear idea of how far it's actually going to go. Oil does not look good. Were you taking that long, Gary? Because oil looks ugly. That's a 60 60-cent drop from lately. Let's adjust the circles a little bit. And look, there was like some significant absorption there, and they pushed it lower on them again. So oil is in downtrend mode as well, and the treasuries pushing up pretty good. So let's do some analysis on the treasury here. Okay, so the treasury is still only just barely breaking from its overnight highs. At 138.28 level would be the Peter Navarro area. So even though the treasuries are moving up, it's not dramatic. Move this back to ES just so it's easier. And, when I look at the currencies, even like the Japanese yen is actually pushing down. Gold actually took a little bit of a dive there. That's funny. I think I need to bring this chart and zoom this chart out a little bit to see that. Yeah. Gold took a little bit of a dive there before the open. Well, so I need to remember to come back in here and put a comment in and say, when I gave the explanation of why I would trade against that, and then back, because I mean, I know I put it in Discord, but I said it here too, right? I think that you let it come back and you just trade against it, and they went through it like a hot knife through butter when they decided to actually go. Can I show you something else that's kind of fun? I've been noticing this a lot. I don't want to give you like, this is a technical analysis thing that you should use, but I am seeing it happen a lot. Is I got this like much wider EMA, and when they get deep pullbacks, they'll come to that EMA and then continue the trend. So this is the one that I think is like when they go through it, look here, they went through it. But when we're getting the trend action, that is a pretty good indication of how deep they're going to come back. If you know that that's what's going on. Platinum has been hit for a 5% loss, says Patrick Rooney. Let's see here. What is UK Department of Health and Social Care saying? As of 9 a.m. the 24th of June, there has been 8,542,186 tests with 232 86 tests on the 23rd of June. 306,862 people have tested positive. As of the 23rd of June, all of those tested positive for coronavirus across all settings. 43,081 have sadly died. Dan Niles also being retweeted by Forex Live. Record-breaking 40% S&P rally in 50 trading days from March 23rd was largely driven by Fed balance sheet expanding by 72%. From February 26th to now, well, not till now, till June 10th, to 7.169 trillion. But on the 17th of June, it went down a little to 7.095 trillion. Very curious what the 24th of June looks like and how the market behaves from here if down again. So if the market starts falling apart, then the banks end up being underwater again. Yesterday, the number of new daily infections hit its third highest case total and its highest since April 24th, rolling 7-day average as highest since May 1st. Strong day of week pattern around lab schedules. No Tuesday is ever the market high for the week. Which day is the high of the week? Wednesday. Weekend 1, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday. Okay. Well, they just kind of skidding along the bottom here so far, aren't they? Well, we got about 30 minutes. I think that there's some really good downside potential still in this. I don't really know. This is one of those things where it's like you start to become aware of what you don't know. There's a way to how do we say, price this in? But I don't know what it is. Let's see here. Nate Silver, the way people are actually behaving on lockdowns suggests something rather different than the polls. In fact, I think the thesis that lockdowns are not politically sustainable is looking pretty good. I was pretty agnostic on this point, so not tooting my own horn. And he's retweeting Alex Burns from the New York Times. There's new lows. That one was some good stops, but look at that absorption below 3060. There's been a fair amount of lightly informed punditry in recent months predicting that the country would rebel against lockdown orders out of impatience to reopen the economy. So it is worth stressing that 3.5 months into the crisis, that has absolutely not happened. Most of the country is also rejecting Trump's call to reopen the economy as quickly as possible, even at the cost of exposing people to greater health risks. By a 21-point margin, voters said the federal government should prioritize containing the coronavirus, even if it hurts the economy, a view that aligns them with Mr. Biden. Just a third of voters said the government should focus on restarting the economy, even if that entails greater public health risks. The calculus is way more complicated than that, unfortunately. Of course, the public will always side on if you present it as, okay, is it the economy or lives? Then yeah, they're going to go for lives. But the real calculus is more complicated than that, because the economy affects people's lives in many other ways. It leads to deaths. In my opinion, my sister died because of lockdowns. It was a major contributing factor to her committing suicide. She didn't die from the virus. These things matter, guys. I think this is where we come into this problem with data. Is you come in one of the ways that we screw ourselves up with data is we look at one point and we say this is the point that matters. The number of deaths due to coronavirus, directly due to coronavirus, is the only thing that matters, and we should do everything to optimize that. That's an incomplete analysis because it affects so many other factors. You got to do the complete analysis. What we do in our society today is myopic. It's a myopic analysis. We want to let the computer do it for us, not think. It doesn't work. I don't think it works. I see serious problems arise from some of the numbers lately. Now is probably a good time for me to go and get a water and take a break. So I am going to do that here. I'll be right back.
RJ Wheel says, and in Bond films. Winston's mom says, can't link the video, but this one's for you. I think my dog's a Democrat. Brian Lewis official video. Gary Rich. Tenzin Norbu says, sorry to hear this sad news. I will pray for her. Winston's mom says, right round floor Ida. I have not listened to him, but I know who he is. I like your taste in music. Gary Rich. And in Border Collie S.
Okay, so seeing a couple of other things coming through here. Forex Live tweets that Friday's positive test rate was 15.9% versus 10.89% yesterday. That's in Florida. Another new low. Wow. The way that it's trading here. Yeah. Oh, Tezen says so sorry about your sister. Yeah. Thanks. Funeral is Saturday. No, Win, you can link videos now. I made it so that you can post You can post the links. Or are we past the, you know what? We're way past that. I'm sorry. Let's see here. When I dance around the dog can't start barking. Parrots prefer business to party politics. Yeah, there you go. I tell you what, man. Today's a good stream. Look at that stop run. Well, Samuel, sorry to hear about your sister. Yeah, me too. But you know what? One of the things that I have to think about and just kind of accept is that sometimes people have issues that when put in a certain situation will cause them to do things. And of course we want to help, and I can sit here and I can be like, well, if I forced my sister to live with me and never let her drink and did this, that, and the other thing, then probably she would still be alive. Like, yeah, we could do it that way, but the reality is that she was doing what she wanted to do in her life, and I don't think that she was like constantly, like she was actually doing good things with her life. She had just gotten her real estate license. We were going to have a real estate empire. There you go. Wynn posted the link. I'm kind of on the fence now about like, okay, so are we more obligated to make a real estate empire now that she's gone? Or is it like we can't do it without her? I don't know. But she was doing stuff, and it just was an unfortunate thing where it came down to that she was drunk and in a bad state of mind, and it sucks. Okay, well, now the treasuries are getting back into where they've been for the last 3-4 months. And the treasuries, or sorry, the E-mini, now down to 30.51. I think that if we had kept our initial short, we should still be short. I don't know if you wait for the 30.35 or not, but it looks like a trend day. I think you hold it. Well, either you took it off at the first target, which was really more like 30.65, or maybe you waited for 30.60. But if you were to have held on to it, I don't see any reason to get rid of it at this point. But where it can go, we have a very, very uncertain market. Let's say, so let me back up. On Sunday night, we opened with a gap down. So that gap down was off of fears of coronavirus cases. And now I don't think that any other economic conditions have really improved. So if the concerns about coronavirus is even more than it was then it is absolutely possible for us to clear through that gap. So 30.50 is the top of that gap. And the low of that was 30.27. Now, another thing is that the month open is at 30.29. So, that is a spot that they might want to go for. And back to the VIX. The VIX was telling us if we have a trend day, the target is 30.35. So, what are our probabilities? I think I'm gonna say 55% chance of 30.35. The fundamentals suggest to me that we'll do it. They're just selling this thing, man. They got so many people to buy that pivot. They got so many people to buy that pivot, guys. Look at that footprint. 15,000 traded into 3076, and they all had to puke into 3065. Ugly, ugly move. And what happened? We knew exactly what they were going to do because we saw the technical level and we knew that it was not a reliable level because of the fundamentals. I don't want to sit down and say like, this one instance like proves everything, but I don't think that you're going to get a better example than this. Don't use floor pivots, guys. Okay, so quite a bit of volume right in here. Oh, let me pull this back up. Okay, so the selling the selling is starting to become quite extreme. In fact, when we start to get to 1,000, when the imbalance starts to get to 1,000, that's when it seems to be like a real trend that might have to reverse soon. Speculator said, "Is your mother doing okay? This will be hard for her, especially when the funeral's over. That's when you have time to think and film." Yeah, so we've been over there for the evening pretty much every day this week because um, people from church have been bringing them food. Um, and lots of people have been coming over and talking. So I haven't seen my parents like, sitting and sobbing. I haven't been doing that. I haven't had like a serious cry about it. Um, Probably part of that is my ADHD medications. I don't really like lose control very often anymore. But I really think though that a lot of it is that because we haven't seen the body. I think that when we on Friday for the viewing, when we see the body, it's gonna hit people hard. I really think because right now it just doesn't feel real. Like it's not like we see her every day, anyways. We see her, once a month. At least I do. So she's not around all the time. So that's one thing. And then the whole story just seems like crazy. Like they were drinking, they had an argument. He decided to sleep in the guest room, and then while he was asleep, she went and hung herself. And she is somebody that if you said, are you having problems? We don't want you to kill yourself, sort of a thing, she would be very adamant that she would never do that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I've had a discussion with her before where she was very adamant that would never absolutely kill, even if things were super bad, would never do that, right? But she was drunk, so her inhibitions were, how do you put it? Is that what her inhibitions were compromised? Is that what I've never been drunk before, so I don't really know what it does to you, but you know, so it, to me it seems uncharacteristic to her, even though I know that she had depression issues and that she can say crazy things. So yeah, all of those things combined, I really don't think it's hit us. No. And when Friday comes and we see the body and we have the funeral, it's going to be really bad. And like, I'm not trading this week. It's definitely affecting me. Like, I'm not sleeping as well, for starters. I'll tell you that much. But another compounding factor is that my medication for my colon inflammation is not coming in yet. I hope it comes today. Let's look that up. While I'm thinking about it, let's look that up because I really need it. It's starting to get painful, and I feel tired all the time. I actually got a good amount of sleep last night, and I actually got a good amount of sleep. And oh my gosh, your order is on hold. Is it just sitting there? Is it like not actually even been mailed? I'll be so mad. Few details. The hell? I have to call them. I'm so sick of this shit. Probably not do the gym today because I can feel the bloating. It just hurts. And when you do the gym, it just makes it worse, right? Anyways, that little segue there, detour. Why am my bottom in turn at the 621 low? Well, I think it's interesting that you guys are all looking at YM, but I understand why you would. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the spot that I was looking at. Like the VIX range says that we can get there. Please take a quick second to hit like. Thanks, says Winston. Yeah, thank you. You know what, guys? You should. There's 23 viewers right now. We got 6 likes. Today was a really good video. And I would really like to get this out to people because I think that not only did we give people a good interview of how to deal with news, which is great at the beginning, but then we have probably the best example that you're ever going to get of a technical analysis indicator failing when the fundamentals would tell you that it's going to fail. So I would really like to get this video out there. I'm probably gonna, after it's done processing, I'm gonna come back and tag a couple of key points. That's actually something that would help. Like when you guys leave comments, anytime that you comment on the video, it really helps the engagement and helps the video be shown to more people. But then if you do leave a comment, one thing that you can do is you can say, okay, I remember he was talking about this at this time. Go back and find it. And then in the video, just put in a timestamp. And YouTube will automatically insert a link to that timestamp so that people can find it. And that way, when people are coming back later, they don't just get this big video and, oh, well, I don't know what happened in it and I'm not going to watch the whole thing. They can go, oh, okay, here are the key points that I actually want to watch. So I'm going to come back, and when I talked about that indicator is probably going to fail, and then when it actually failed, timestamp those. And I'll do that. But so if you guys could please give it a like, that will really help the video out, because not only will it help the channel out a lot, but I think that this is the thing that retail traders are having a problem with right now. And I think that this video could help a lot of people out. So let's try and push it, yeah? A couple of likes just there. Thank you very much. So now at well, man, I mean, they'll pull back, but like, look, they're only pulling back like 2 points. This is so bearish. So like, I remember on some of the downside when the coronavirus was first taking hold, you had a lot of periods where there really was like some good uptrends in all of that. And it was very difficult and choppy action. Today's action has, after they fell out, it's just been all one way. I had stopped leaving comments, but I will make sure I do. Yeah, well, some of your, I think what you should do here's what I think would help the most win is think about what you thought the best moment of this stream was, and then put a timestamp and a comment about that. Because some of the comments were about random other stuff. And I had a hard time like even knowing like what to respond back to them. So that's the first thing. But then the second thing is that if you have a comment that generates a lot of discussion back, that's the sort of things that really help the channel. Is like when we ask a question and everybody wants to leave their opinion on it, right? That's what really helps. So the engagement, the commenting brings up the engagement. So the thing that's holding the channel back right now is that we do get good engagement on the one-off videos, but I'm only going to make so many of those. On the daily videos, they we don't get a lot of comments and engagement, and so they don't get pushed as much. I always like the end of these videos. Oh, it is time for the end of it, isn't it? So you know what? Here's another thing is that I need to do better at giving a really good overview of what happened during the day at the end of the video, so that when I'm going back and watching it, I can always go to the end to understand what I was thinking. Wouldn't bot. John is laughing. So, and since John wasn't here the whole time, I'll show you what we did, because I am really happy about how today turned out. Okay. So I'm going to come over here. Let me get a drink of water here. So today, the backdrop that I saw was that, first of all, yesterday, there's the Peter Navarro thing, and that all canceled out. So then they started pushing up. When they started pushing up, there is, of course, hard resistance up here. And I thought that they would have had every reason to move up, but they just didn't want to do it. They just didn't do it. They just didn't take it. And then, they kind of fell back. Now, overnight, there was this measured move down off of news that the United States was going to levy some more tariffs on the European Union, and that moved things down. Big but, I didn't see anything about it on CNBC. I saw it on other outlets, and especially the people that I go for, like the rundown before the open. They pointed this out, but the CNBC hadn't written a story about it. So that was one of the first things, was that kind of like the fundamental backdrop that we had on there, a lot of retail traders were not, aware of. Okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing is that today is a Wednesday with no news. So when you get Tuesdays and Wednesdays with no news, you have to be a little bit careful about those, because those tend to be range bound days. But because we had some news about, the tariffs overnight was one thing. And then the other thing is that we know that there's going to be coronavirus numbers and that the numbers were rising. And of course, they ignored the numbers on Monday, Tuesday, because those are never big numbers. So the numbers today were more interesting. So we had this setup where things could move in a time when it should remain range bound, right? So I was looking for, if they break the overnight low, there's a really good chance then that we're going to have a trend day. And I say there's a really good chance because fundamentals. So that was the fundamental backdrop that made me come in and say, okay, I think I want to sell. Now, I don't want to give myself too big of a pat on the back, because I'm not trading this week, and I'm probably not going to trade next week because my sister died, and I'm emotionally having a hard time dealing with it. But I don't know, my read was pretty good today. So then the next thing that I wanted to show you was, okay, so I was kind of watching some of my level 2 indicators and everything. And when we had that initial buy up, kind of up here, I was saying, maybe this is where you sell it. Okay. So then once we sold it, you come to this chart, and I know it's a little bit hard to see because that dark blue is like really dark. Do you see the blue there? Can you see the blue? At 3070 is, what is it? S1. S1. So the floor pivots say that 3070 is S1. And the floor pivots are not a good indicator because they're based very much on where we closed. So there's a lot of people trading it, and it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it really doesn't matter. And when we broke through, like up in here, right? When we did that, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I said, they're going to bounce off of S1 and then stop everybody out lower. Let them think that it's working and then blow through it, because today's probably going to be a trend day. All of the fundamentals are negative. And oh, by the way, we hadn't gotten the Florida news yet, which was one of the big fundamentals that we're looking that was probably going to be negative and push us down lower. And of course, we got it and it blew it out. Now, ever since then, when we come back and we look at the volume profile, footprint, yes, look at what happened here in the volume. Normally, 15,000 would be enough to cause a good turn. And they went lower, so that already tells you that we're starting to get into that sort of a thing. Right. So now the market and the orders is really starting to confirm our theory. And look at all of this volume here at 3065, which was our first volatility target. Right. All those guys got stopped out going down into this. And then ever since then, it's just been lower and lower and lower. And look, we had another distribution area down here at 3046. And they're just, even now, even right here at this moment, new lows. This is a trend day. And I'm so happy that not only did I basically call that it was going to be a trend day, but I even called a specific place where there was a really strong technical analysis setup that was likely to fail that you could trade against. So if you want an example of why you should use fundamental analysis primarily, I don't think you get a better example than today. What do you got here? Too much supply up there, air supply up there, air supply. When yeah, you're right. I mean, that was the thing on the upside. That was very much a technical level that we were range bound up there. But I really thought they could have gone for it if they wanted to, but they just didn't want to. I didn't really see the volume just kind of sputtered out and they let it came back down there yesterday. Because I saw some setups that looked like they would be good to push us further, but they didn't run through. And that's another thing is you're starting to see some of these really good long setups that have worked really, really well for a long time are starting to fail. So it tells you that the market regime is changing. Bum, 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 bum. The ATR started to run a stream. That's why I closed at 8 a.m. Okay. I should have a better ATR on here. I think I added it somewhere and I lost it. Anyways, so before we go, I just say target number 2 is like at 30.35. I don't know where John's has it. So that one probably be more reliable, but there's quite a few levels down there, like 30.30. So I'm not entirely sure where it's going to go. I don't have a whole lot to tell me from a fundamental basis where it's going to go. But 30.35 is around about the area that we can get to. And hey, on a day like today, they could totally go like even further than that. So I wouldn't discount it. All right. Well, it's time for me to go. Good video. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. Thank you very much. We'll see if we, oh yeah, bots has it at 33,475. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, hit that like button. If you had a point in the video that you liked, like come back later and find it in the video and leave in the comments a timestamp for us. And I'll leave some timestamps where I talked about this stuff. So thank you guys very, very much. Have a good day. Stay profitable.